Hi, good morning. This is Gayatri Jayaraman. Welcome back to Shamaha. I'm so glad to see all of you again. And those of you who are new, welcome. I hope you'll find something here to benefit you in your daily life. Do leave your comments, questions, and suggestions below, or feel free to email me. Those of you, who need to, my email ID is in the description box below. Um, I also do private consultations, but do like, share, subscribe. This is more with the intention of getting a dialogue going and sort of airing the kind of questions that keep coming up for all of us. Yeah. So today I wanted to talk about how to cope with emotional manipulation. What is emotional manipulation first? Okay. It occurs in various forms. We all have people around us who might sometimes engage in outright criticism. It could be constantly putting you down if you're doing something. But it also occurs in other more subtle ways. These include passive aggressive behavior. Okay? Oh, I would have come to you, but I can see you're so busy. So you couldn't help me solve my problem this time, so I had to deal with it all on my own. That's one. Gaslighting, sort of turning your words on yourself. No, I never said anything like that. You completely misunderstood what I was saying, right? That's complete gaslighting. It could also be in terms of emotional blackmail. You have to do what I tell you. If you don't do what I tell you, things are going to get out of control. And so the person is constantly kept in a space of tenterhooks, has to obey, become compliant, otherwise things are going to, spin out. There are so many ways in which emotional manipulation occurs, and it can have very harmful long-term effects on people. It's a means of power, control, and sort of manipulating the situation. It can range from anything from silent treatment to outright verbal abuse, criticism. It can also be just, subtle. It can have undertones of constantly distancing from the other person, uh, push pull, like, dislike. These are the constant dynamics that sort of outline emotional manipulation. Bosses do this in offices where you're constantly trying to earn their approval. And at some point, you realize no matter what I do, how much work I take on, however long as I'm going to put it in, I'm just not going to win this person's approval. So, what do you do? What do you do when you're encountered with situations like these and you feel very trapped? The very first step is listen to and acknowledge your feelings. You will know when you are feeling emotionally manipulated. You will know that somebody has a sense of control and power over you. You begin to feel very uncomfortable. You feel very dissatisfied. You feel like you are in a relationship that you don't want to be in. You don't want to be subject to this. And it's very important to acknowledge your feelings because it is very instinctive for us to say, no, I must be imagining things. Or you speak to somebody and they say, no, that's not actually what it is. Maybe you're just misreading the situation. Listen to yourself. And this is why meditation insight is very important. Stillness, quiet time with yourself, closing your eyes, shamatha, silent sitting, mindfulness. Observe your own sensations, know your own truth. If you are extremely uncomfortable with the power dynamic between yourself and another person, you will know it. And when you know it and you suppress it, it will emerge in other physical, emotional, and mental states that become erratic or demand increasing attention. So the first step is to know and acknowledge your emotions. What is the second step? The second step is set boundaries, right? This is slightly harder to do, but it becomes easier when you go through the first step and you know for sure I do not want to feel like this. I'm done feeling like this. The second step is set your boundaries. When you set your boundaries, what does it mean? The second step and the third step I'm going to explain together. That is, have consequences. Have consequences for good behavior, have consequences for bad behavior. When you set your boundaries, it means that you are going to withdraw certain perks or privileges if the person does not comply. Let's say you're helping somebody with something. If they're constantly going to take advantage of you, and let's say it's a colleague at work and there is a deadline, you both have the same deadline, you finish your work early, but they keep it till the last minute because they know that if I go to Gayatri, Gayatri is going to help me with this. And soon you're noticing this is a pattern. This is not somebody in need. This is somebody who's taking advantage of you. I have a particular grouse at Delhi airport more than any other place on earth is all Delhi residents, sorry, I'm generalizing, not all, many Delhi residents, we will reach the airport 5 hours in advance for an international flight. They will come 1 hour in advance and say, I'm late, my flight is going to leave. Can I go to the front of the line? And they will push past you and go to the front of the line. So initially, the first few times I flew out of Delhi airport, I'd be like, oh my God, these people are late. We have to help them. Then I started realizing fourth time, fifth time, sixth time, this is a pattern. These people are not late. They just don't want to stand in line. So why should I be taken advantage of? So I would just say no. And I would not feel guilty about saying no because there is a boundary. And if they want help, they can go to the airline person, seek help, and they will ferry them, whatever. But I don't want to be the one to allow you to breach my boundary and take advantage of me. So, right. So the first thing is to have a boundary. What are your boundaries? You will know that only if you know what your feelings are. I do not like being manipulated. I do not like being held to ransom. I don't want my emotions all over the place. I protect my emotions very fiercely. I protect my state of mind. I am a generous person, but I will give when I know that my generosity is being valued. I'm willing to help, but I'm not going to help people who are using it for their own agenda, right? So those are my boundaries. There are consequences. What are the consequences? The consequences is I'm going to stop listening to you. I'm going to stop dancing around to your every tune, and I'm not going to give you my help. It's just not going to be made available to you. Want the help? Please go somewhere else. But this space is not open to manipulation. So the first is know yourself, know your boundaries. Then second is set consequences. Once you've set consequences, it's important to also stick one is make a commitment. Make a commitment to yourself. Make a commitment to your feelings. Make a commitment to protecting your personal space, your private space, your emotions, your thoughts, the sanctity of who you are, your stillness, your mindfulness. Make a commitment to the boundaries you have set for them. Make a commitment for the help that you will give people. You will be generous. You will be giving. Give it to the people who deserve it, who earn it, who require it, who need it, right? Because we all have limited energy. We all have a number of things taking our time, our energy, our mind space. If somebody wants that, then they have to value it, right? And this is a boundary that I've set for myself. For instance, some of you know that I have one free counseling session a day for somebody in genuine need. Sometimes I give these out to people who will book an appointment, fill out the form, but they will simply not show up. And one person, for instance, said, I overslept. I'm sorry, but if you're going to take advantage of a no-fee session, which I'm more than happy to give, I don't feel I'm giving you a favor. I owe it to people. People have helped me when I was in need, but I'm not going to make that offer to you again. Okay, so you are free to come back for a session, but this time you'll have to pay for it. So there are certain limits that I need to stick to, and that I'm not going to break those limits for myself, because once you make those boundaries breakable, once you break that commitment to yourself, then none of your boundaries or none of your self-worth, acknowledgement, feelings has any meaning whatsoever. And the fifth thing you can do is move away. And move away in a way that you don't have to deprive that person of their options, but they need to understand that this is not up for sale, right? That you're not buying this. And you need to say, I will provide you the money, I will provide you the help you mean, I'll give you numbers, you can go somewhere else, I'm just not going to get involved in this. And it is necessary to physically move away to protect yourself, as well as to re-establish a sense of boundaries. This is also tough love in helping the other person, to help that person realize that emotional manipulation and this sort of crossing boundaries is not helpful to themselves, and they will need to change their attitudes. Their attitudes, their actions, the way they react to people, otherwise their set of circumstances is not going to change. Because what happens is, when you are pouring your help, your generosity, your time, your energy into somebody who basically is engaging in emotional manipulation, you're pouring water into a glass with a hole. So it's just going to leak out, because the glass that is full of holes, that is full of agendas, that is full of these kind of manipulative strategies, is not taking help in for itself. It is just simply using up whatever is in its surrounding. So it becomes a resource, absorber. It absorbs resources, but it does not use those resources. It's like, it just pours out. And again, that person will come back to you and say, now I'm empty, now I need you to help me. Because what is being fed is not the need for the resources. It is the need for attention, need for time, need for energy. So this is something that needs to be plugged. And how this can be plugged is through therapy, through meditation, through intervention, through realizing one's patterns, seeing one's own emotional manipulations. It's not always that others emotionally manipulate. We also emotionally manipulate, because we have certain needs that we want others to cater to. We want them to fulfill certain requirements that we have, because it makes our lives easier for us. We recognize that when we see our own patterns, our own needs, our own defense mechanisms, our own passive aggressive behavior, our own gaslighting, the lies we tell, not consciously just others, but the lies we tell ourselves. And the only way through all of this is self-reflection, self-awareness, insight, sitting with one's own feelings, and sort of coming to an idea of who one actually is and what one wants in life. If one wants people around us, then the question is, what do I need to do to make people want to be with me? Do people want to be with somebody who's always grumbling, crying, angry, frustrated, blaming other people? No. So what can I do to make my environment a bit more pleasant? Maybe I need to withhold the criticism I'm constantly giving people. Maybe I need to, not expect other people to dance to my tune. Maybe I need to have some, reasonable expectations in my life. Maybe I need to be engaged, occupied, doing other things. There are so many things we can ask ourselves. What is it that I can do to improve my situation and meet the goals that I need to get met without forcing people to come and give it to me, right? So it's very important to get into the space of self-reflection. My, first principle in anything, of course, is meditate, go inward. At the end of the day, we can go to all kinds of saints, seers, philosophers, psychologists, psychiatrists, all the books, DIY, podcasts, YouTube videos, anything that one approaches. We can go to friends, elders for advice. At the end of the day, insight only comes from self-reflection. You can have everything in front of you, but until you see the value of that for yourself, insight does not come. So there is nothing that beats those moments of self-reflection. It's a beautiful week, lovely weather. I really recommend, however busy your schedule, sit down, take half an hour for yourself and just self-reflect. Shamatha, silent sitting often does the trick. It's most helpful. Do let me know what works for you. If there are other techniques that you use, I would love to hear about them. Please do send me an email or leave comments, questions, and suggestions below. I'll see you.